he said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven."
So for those who are visiting today, we're doing a little sermon series through the summer, looking at some statements of Jesus. In fact, the statements that Denise just read to us, that we've called the title, The Upside Down Kingdom. Because Jesus, we see in the Bible, Jesus is this king, and he talks about what is his kingdom like, what are the people in his kingdom like. And he goes through these phrases called the Beatitudes. Beatitude, it's from a Latin word, beatus, meaning blessed. So that's why it starts with blessed are they, blessed are they. And we're working our way through, and today we've got to, about 3/4 of the way through, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. So what does it mean to be pure in heart? This is not a cholesterol test. We're not talking that sort of purity of heart. We're talking about, well, I've got this there's a heart. But in the Bible, the heart means the control centre of a person. So think choices, thoughts, desires, motivations. Well, we might now culturally talk about our head being rational and our heart being emotional. In the Bible, it's all one in together. Okay, so the heart is the control centre of a person, and a definition of pure in heart is clean and uncontaminated before God. I wonder if anyone could put their hand up here and say, "My heart is clean and uncontaminated." Ouch, it gets a bit pointy, doesn't it? Talking of clean and uncontaminated, here is some water. I always have a glass of water when I'm leading a service. That is clean and uncontaminated. Would anybody care to have a little drink of that? You can see I'm drinking it. You'd probably say, yes, maybe if you're pushed, you have that. What about if I was just put a little bit of this into it? Just a small bit, just a drop or two. What would we want to drink it? If you're here with children, don't drink the blue bottle. Okay, this is bad. But yeah, if I put a bit of bleach in the water, of course you're not going to drink it, unless you're Donald Trump. Move on. We wouldn't, because it would be contaminated. It wouldn't look any different, but it would be contaminated. It would not be clean. In fact, it would be quite dangerous. So when it was pure and uncontaminated, and someone said that the heart of the problem is the problem of the heart. I don't know who said that years ago, probably. Well, I think there's real truth in that. And as you think about that, is anybody here happen to be an actor? Probably wouldn't put your hand up if you were. Anybody do that bit of Amdram somewhere? Any actors here? No. So if we haven't got an actor here, or anyone who's going to say that. But in other ways, everybody here is an actor. Actually, I'll tell you how we act. What we do is we put on a mask, and I'm going to put on a mask that's going to shock you and scare you. It's actually a mask of my own face. Okay? Different haircut. It's the photo from the website. Okay? And what we tend to do is we have this mask on that always looks like this. I think it's a bit of a smile. But underneath, I could be scowling. There's all sorts of selfishness and greed and bitterness and anger. But we tend to put on our mask. Am I the only one? You don't have to answer that. I don't think I'm the only one with the mask. But you know, sometimes the mask slips, doesn't it? Who knows what hot micing is? You heard that phrase, hot micing? Hot mic. I'm wearing some microphones here. Hot micing is where somebody gets interviewed, normally a politician, and the interview finishes and they think the microphone's been switched off. And then they come away and they say what they were really thinking. Do you remember the 2010 Gordon Brown was interviewing this lady in her house, and she had fairly strong views. He finished that, got back into his car and said, "Who put me with that bigoted woman?" At which point he dug a huge hole for himself and had to come and say, "I didn't really mean bigoted, I meant just sort of a bit awkward," or something. But he starts to row back. But there the mask had slipped. And I don't remember much about Gordon Brown as Prime Minister, but I do remember that. The bigoted woman incident, because the mask had slipped, and what was really going on in his heart then was exposed. So if you're here this morning thinking, well, this is all a bit depressing, I turned up for a baptism, and I'm realising actually that our hearts are pretty bad news. Well, let me give you some good news, and baptism points to it. You see, baptism is a symbol, an outward sign of cleansing and washing. So cleansing and washing, this sort of stuff is brilliant. I don't often use this on my car. In fact, I've cleaned my car never. But these sorts of things are really good for cleaning cars and windows and stuff, aren't they? Okay, I don't know whether people are into car cleaning. They do a great job of the outside or the surface of things. Okay? But this is no good, no matter how much I spray, to start cleaning my heart, as the Bible defines heart. Do you get me? So you could wash as much as you want. You can clean as much as you want, but it doesn't get and deal with our heart issue. So what does? Well, the message of the Bible is Jesus is the one who can do that. Jesus, who lived the life we should live and died the death that we should die because of our sin, what the Bible calls sin, all this stuff, the things that we talked about in that confession. And in a moment we'll do a baptism, which will be where we take this young lady and I will take her to the back, we'll look there and I'll put a little bit of water on her head. That is a sort of, that's called a baptism by sprinkling. But in the Bible we would really see baptism by full immersion. And at this point, does anybody want to come to the front and help me to do that? If not, I might have to get my helper. Matthew, come and join me here. Okay, this is number 4, son. And I go up to him and I say, Matthew, I'm looking for a volunteer today, and his head sort of drops. Right. Now, the thing is, you keep growing and getting bigger. Okay. So, in the Bible, when somebody was baptised, and in fact, I've done this in other places, it's a baptism by full immersion. Come and stand here. So, we get into a tank of water. I've done this in the Sea of Galilee. I've done this in a swimming pool. I've done this in a paddling pool, in a baptistry font, all these sorts of things. And what we do is the water's about here, and the person gets plunged under the water. But to do this, you've got to put your hands across your shoulders and lock your core. You're locked?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So what we do is you take someone and you lower them or plunge them. Baptise literally means to overwhelm. So you plunge them under the water. So the water's here. Right, this down here. Now at this point, I should have practiced this. This is symbolic of dying to our sin. Okay, not just saying, oh, I slip up occasionally, but dying to our sin. But because Jesus, you're heavy. Because Jesus rose again, you then you pull them back out of the water. You don't leave them under there, and you pull them back out as a sign of being resurrected. Okay, so it's a really powerful symbol. So you do it again. Ready? One last time. We're going to go down. Keep your feet still. Ready? And go. Lock the crook. Put your bottom in. Ready? And go. And they went. And the crowd went wild. Go on. Thank you very much. So it's. You used to be my little baby. So that's a very powerful symbol, isn't it? Of dying and rising with Christ. And that act, no matter how much water you use, whether it's a sprinkling, whether it's full immersion, whether it's in a Sea of Galilee, or just using tap water, the water it's not magic. It's an outward sign of what's happening spiritually, inwardly. And on your service sheet you'll see a little box that explains a little bit more about that. It's a picture of identifying with Jesus. So it's not about being a Christian, following Jesus. He's not saying, I'm going to clean up my act, like we're scrubbing away on our hearts. It's about saying, I need to come to Jesus for forgiveness. The thing that we cannot buy, but the thing that everyone needs, a new start. So in this beatitude, Jesus says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. What does God look like for you? Perhaps a distant relative? An absentee landlord? A really merciless boss, always demanding? Father Christmas? I wonder what it is for you. Imagine, here we are, I've got my glasses here, which I increasingly need. Imagine I have my glasses, I'm out on a walk, and I drop them into a muddy puddle. Okay? And I'll just pick them up and just stick my glasses on, and they're covered in mud. Okay? But the scene out there hasn't changed, but my view of it has. And if I just think, oh, that'll be alright, I'll just leave them on, I won't be able to see properly, it'll all be blurry. Okay, until someone comes and says, look, you idiot, give me your glasses, let me clean them, and then you put them in and say, oh, I can see properly. And that's a bit like when we see God, because of our sin, our turning away from God, all this stuff that we try to cover up with a mask, actually it's hard to see God for who He really is, and sometimes our view of God gets distorted. It's like sin clouds our vision of God. But when our glasses are cleaned, as it were, and when Jesus comes and gives us forgiveness, we see God more clearly, and ourselves more clearly, and others more clearly. But as we finish, as we go back to the mask, this hideous mask, I don't know about you, but I find it hard to take off this mask, especially as I get older. Because I think there's a thing in life that basically you get older and you've had more practice at life and you get better at it. I'm still waiting for that day. I don't feel like I'm getting any better at life. And as I look around and see some younger ones here, it's great to see you. Actually, it's quite hard. And perhaps you look at older people and maybe think, oh, they've got it together. I'm still waiting to get it together. And I find I've still got my mask on. It's hard to take it off. It's hard to admit my need for forgiveness. Well, Jesus told a story, a parable, which is a story with a meaning. And He told it about two guys. He didn't mention a mask in here, but one is clearly wearing a mask. And it says this, 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, God, I thank you I'm not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give 1/10 of all I get. But the tax collector stood at a distance. He wouldn't even look up to heaven, but beat his breast and said, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. Jesus said, I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. Made right before God. Why was that? Well, because the Pharisee, who was like this religious expert, he was a mask wearer. Basically, look at me, God, aren't I great? You can see all these things I'm doing on the outside. But in his heart, he was basically looking down, dissing this guy. So we had a mask wearer, and then this tax collector, who was about as popular as tax collectors are today. Sorry if you're a tax collector. He was a heart opener. And he beat on his chest, which is a sign of being sorry, and he said, a great prayer, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. Can you see the difference? Mask wearer, heart opener. He was honest before God. Friends, which one will you be today? Are you going to go out of here and slide that mask back on and say, everything's fine and I want to show the world I'm alright? Or actually you're going to say, I know I need God's forgiveness. Jesus said, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God." No one can clean themselves up under their own effort. But everyone is welcome to come to Jesus, take off our mask, receive forgiveness. That is to be truly blessed now and forever. Amen.